Viewer discretion is advised. You may find the following email very upsetting. I've copied and pasted this email onto a Word document. Number one, so that you can actually see it, because you can't really see it in the email. And number two, I've had to change some of the particulars to really preserve the anonymity of the sister. Assalamu alaikum, Mahdi. I've been watching your YouTube videos for a while now, and I'm subscribed to them also. I am a 43-year-old woman, even though I don't feel or look it. I look younger. I feel ashamed to talk about this. I no longer love my husband, and to be honest with you, I haven't for a long time. We've been together for 15 years. He doesn't satisfy me sexually and emotionally. We have nothing in common. I feel very bad as I am not fulfilling my role as a good wife should. Okay, first of all, gentlemen, if you've been watching me for a meaningful period of time, either on YouTube or following me on Instagram, you will know the key to a woman's heart, or to owning her heart, is not through flowers and acts of service and boxed chocolates and gift-wrapped presents. The key to her heart is through the private part. There you go, Mahdi Tijani 2022. The key to her heart is through the private part. You can coin that, Mahdi Tijani. Yeah? I am not joking. If you do not take this seriously and you think that I am joking, mashallah, one of your missus could end up emailing me and you'll be in this situation here like this. I cannot emphasize the importance of this enough. Women are not just emotional creatures as you think. Women also have sexual desires and need sexual satisfaction. In fact, here's the real kicker. It's easy for a woman to sexually satisfy a man because it's the same thing every single time, right? He reaches climax, he finishes, does the deed, Bob's your uncle, Nelly's your aunt, and he's off. For a woman, however, reaching climax is not as simple, and she has many different forms and ways of climaxing. And yes, if she is not satisfied intimately with you, in the intimate sense, you're going to have problems connected to her emotional attachment to you, as you are about to find out. We have nothing in common. I feel very bad as I am not fulfilling my role as a good wife should. I wanted to separate from him, but family involvement didn't allow me to do that. My family said it would bring shame to the family. I have 5 children with this man, and I have been married before. All right, 2 important points to acknowledge here. Number 1, my family said if I get a divorce, I will bring shame upon the family. Okay, well, do you know what else is going to bring shame upon the family? Committing zina, adultery, stepping out on your husband and having sex outside of that marriage. Oh, you think you can keep it a secret, do you? No, you can't. No, you can't. Those chickens always come home to roost. Sooner or later, those chickens are coming home to roost. Not to mention that Allah knows, which is kind of the bigger deal here. But for those of you who think, you know what, Allah will forgive me. Okay, Allah is the most forgiving, and He is also the most severe in punishment. Be careful with that line of thinking. So we have the shame stigma. It will be a big shame if I leave my husband, or if I am, leave the marriage. Okay, well, I believe that certain stigmas do have their place in society. The divorce stigma, for example, is something that should be there. We should ask questions. Why is this woman divorced? Indeed, why is this man divorced? What went wrong? Stigmas are there for a reason. In the same way, if you went for a job interview and the previous job you were at, you were fired by your employer, your new employer or prospective employer has every right to ask, why were you fired? Now, maybe you were oppressed, in which case we will have to uncover this. But maybe you weren't. Maybe you were an absolute nightmare of an employee. Maybe you were an absolute nightmare of a wife. Maybe you were an absolute nightmare of a husband. So stigma has its place. However, if we take this stigma too far, we find ourselves in a situation like this, whereby I don't want to leave the family or my husband because of the shame that will be associated with it. So what do I go and do? Well, let's continue reading the email. My family said, to repeat, it would bring shame to the family, and I have 5 children with this man, and I have been married before. All right, this is the second point I wanted to touch upon. The sister's been married before. She didn't go into detail on her previous marriage, and I wish I asked her now. However, it is possible that the man she was married to before sexually satisfied her more so than her current husband. In which case, we have a massive problem. She would be what we would call an alpha widow. A woman who has been imprinted upon. And the memory of her previous husband is there, particularly in an intimate sense. Now, this might not be the case. I'm just saying it's something to think about. Women can't go backwards. Once she's experienced a particular level of a man, she can't go backwards. My wife says this to me all the time. You've ruined me. Those are literally her words. She said, you've ruined me because I can't go back from this. And I excel in many different areas as a man. I'm just speaking bluntly. I do. I excel in many different areas. And those are her words. You've ruined me. Because if, Allah forbid, I was to die or something, then she's going to be looking for another man who can at least fill my boots. At least being the key word. Recently, I started talking to a man on social media, which proved to me even more that I don't want to be with my husband anymore. Oh boy, here we go down this rabbit hole. I would like to be more sexually active, but he, her husband, has problems in the bedroom department. Also, when I look at him, I don't feel attracted to him. Okay. I've been harping on about this, the importance of getting yourself into strong physical shape for a long time. Okay. Our testosterone levels as men are lower, as speaking broadly, humanity, are lower than they have ever been before in recorded history. Why? A more sedentary lifestyle, driving, sitting, watching TV, terrible food consumption, birth control water. Women consume birth control, they pee it out, and then that water is recycled, and much of the water that we consume is recycled water, and as a consequence of that, we are consuming a percentage of the birth control that they have peed out. Plastics, packaging, you name it, on and on. Read the book Estrogeneration. On and on and on. And then of course, we're not just exercising enough. So this accumulation of issues has resulted in men's testosterone levels being lower than ever. Lower than ever. Let me tell you something. Do you know why it's important that you're cardiovascularly fit, that you're able to run for half an hour without getting out of breath or stopping? Let me tell you why. Because if you reach a certain level, if you drop beneath a certain threshold of physical fitness, you won't even be able to maintain an erection. You won't be able to trap blood in the member. It's called trapping blood. You won't be able to trap blood there long enough without the member, your penis, going soft. This is a serious issue. If you think that exercise is a nice option, no, it's not. It can get to the point whereby your wife is considering stepping out on you because you can't keep it up long enough. And unless you have some type of chronic underlying physical condition, which the vast majority of you don't, then you're going to have problems. I would like to be more sexually active, but he has problems in the bed department. Also, when I look at him, I don't feel attracted to him. Well, I can tell you that the two are correlated hand in hand. Because he is unable to satisfy her intimately in the bedroom department, she no longer feels attracted to him. The two go hand in hand. It's entirely possible as well that the brother is just unattractive. He's fat, he's out of shape, he doesn't take care of himself. Most probably as well, there's that element as well. I'm simply saying though, when you can't fulfill your wife in that way, she starts looking at you differently. No matter how good looking you are, bro. I don't care if you got Brad Pitt genetics. If you are unable to satisfy her or meet her needs in that way, she's going to start looking at you differently. And talking to this man has made me want to be sexually active again. Is it good to stay with someone you no longer love and feel anything for? Now, I know that whenever sisters email me, okay, asking me for advice, it's because they kind of know what type of response they're going to get from me. And this is generally the case as human beings. We tend to ask advice from people that we feel like we're going to hear what we want to hear. And I know what this sister wants to hear from me. So I'm going to say to you this, sister. Firstly and foremostly, my advice should be secondary to a sheikh that you speak to. However, I know that many of the mashayikh here in the UK, or indeed over the world, are missing an important element that would be useful to them in the type of things that I speak of. That is, for example, the classic advice you're going to get is be patient, sister. Okay, and be patient is actually very underrated, very important advice. Fasbir, be patient, yes. However, we need to dig deeper than that. What's your husband's testosterone levels like? Is he able to keep it up? Is he so low testosterone-wise that he needs some type of medical intervention? Does he exercise? Is he engaged in some type of haram? Maybe he has a porn addiction. I don't know. All of these things contribute towards a lack in the bedroom department. So these are the only things that I would add as a supplement to the main bulk of advice that you should be considering from a sheikh of some sort to begin with. But just bear that in mind. Is it good to stay with someone you no longer love and feel anything for? Again, it's not just all about love and feeling things for. All right? You have family, you have children, you have commitment. However, I will say this, and you will hear this from any sheikh. If it's getting to the point where you fear you are going to commit haram, you're going to step out on your husband, for example, then for sure you need to cut it. Again, you need to cross this with the sheikh first. But 100%, if it's taking you to the point where you fear you are about to commit haram, you need to cut it. That's the bottom line. I don't think it's a good idea for me to stay because my children always say, you two always argue. We've never been out together. The reason is because I don't look at him in a way that I feel attracted to him or want to be around him. We live very separate lives. He's upstairs and I'm downstairs. What advice could you give me? I've told my daughter to tell him to go live separate for a while or to go back to his home country, even though I know once he is gone, I won't want him back. Please help if you can. I've said all I need to say on this, but I will rephrase and re-summarize the points that I have made. Okay? To you men who are not taking care of your health at a minimum, basic health, basic cardiovascular health, you're going to pay the price for that. Either in your own physical health or the deterioration of your own physical health, or in the performance, your ability to perform in the bedroom. Let me tell you something, yeah? Pay attention to me. Look me in the eye when I tell you this. You know, sometimes you need to lay it down. You need to lay the member down on your wife to the point where she is begging you to stop. Please, khalas, I can't take it anymore. Please, just finish. Just get it over and done with. You need to do that sometimes. And when she gets to that point, you keep on going. Why? So that she knows who the boss is. So that she knows. And I know the majority of you watching this can't even fathom or relate to what I'm saying, because the majority of you are at a minimum overweight or worse than that, obese, in which case you just don't have the cardiovascular capacity to be able to go on that long. And to my younger audience who are watching, if you're newly married, for example, don't worry. This doesn't apply as much to you because it takes a period of practice and time whereby you are able to build up that type of endurance with your wife. Initially, you're going to just be like, 1 minute, man. Absolutely fine. But with practice and time, you'll get better. So long as you're not engaged in any harmful vices of some sort, porn and so on. But sometimes you got to lay that down. And if you've got multiple wives, you got to lay that down. And they need to know what the time is. And the time is, whatever your name is, time. The time is, oh, my husband, man, he is next level, man. It's like, you know what? It has to be to the point where she is looking for other wives to join the team on your behalf because you're too much. You got to get yourself to that point. To the sister, I say to you, firstly and foremostly, my advice is secondary to the sheikh that you choose to speak to. Remember that, okay? But just bear in mind this simple foundation. The simple foundation is this. If you fear you are going to commit haram or you are on the brink of it, you have already opened the door. You need to slam that door shut, by the way, and cut all contact with this new brother until you have made a decision on where you're going in your marriage. Until you've done that, then you need to cut contact with him. And remember, if you fear that you're going to commit haram, khalas, may Allah make it easy for you. You need to go your separate way.